The reading this week is from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentary on the Bible and Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. This week's chapter is, Do You Need a Guru? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it and your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. Many people scoff at the idea of having a guru. True to human nature generally, they make a virtue of their scoffing. I am responsible for what I do, they announce. Responsible for my mistakes, as well as for my victories. What would I ever learn if I handed over my development to someone else? To depend on another for guidance would be an act of spiritual cowardice. It would be understandable for someone gifted with some trivial ability, for instance with words, to insist on doing his crossword puzzle himself without letting anyone else help him. But supposing, even in such trivial matters, he had no such gift, what virtue would there be in refusing help? What virtue would there be in refusing to learn? That which is a gift, for that matter, where would the gift itself come from? That which is a gift is not a native ability. Still, crossword puzzles are hardly an important challenge. What if a person wanted to do something daring? To climb a cliff, for instance, but refused to study the art of mountain climbing. He would climb at the risk of his life. And how much more is risked than physical life in the great adventure of the divine search, where the risk is to salvation itself? Where is the sacrifice in seeking guidance? Even a mountain guide wouldn't presume to do one's climbing for one. His purpose would be only to help the neophyte climb safely. To have a wise guru is not a sign of weakness, but of plain common sense. All the saints, aware as they are of the hazards of the adventure, agree on the importance of having a guide or guru. And these are the heroes speaking, not cowards or spiritual weaklings. Jesus emphasized the importance of having a teacher by asking John to baptize him. In the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 3, we read of his coming to John. Thus, Jesus said to John, "It becometh us to fulfill all righteousness." In the Bhagavad Gita, the 4th chapter, Sri Krishna says, "Open thyself to those who have attained wisdom. They will be thy teachers. Ask questions of them, both verbally and mentally. Serve them faithfully and with devotion." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
I must have a different edition of this because there's one more sentence here at the end. Did we read this? How is the devotee to recognize one who has attained wisdom? The Bhagavad Gita gives us this inspiring description of the sage. By this sign is he known, being of equal grace to comrades, friends, chance comers, strangers, lovers, enemies, alien and kinsmen, loving all, evil or good. So our topic this week, hello everyone, thank you for coming out on what is usually the sunniest weekend of the year, and blessedly, this year it's not. I don't know if you're like me, but I thought, hallelujah, clouds and rain. And I think that some plants out there were doing the same. You just feel a collective sigh from all the green things in the world out here. So, our reading today is about the topic, do you need a guru? About the wise and following the wise. So the reading at the end gave us a few clues to who are the wise. And you know, it's quite a challenge to love all equally. Strangers, chance comers, aliens, kinsmen. How is that possible? Well, it's possible for a sage, for a teacher of that caliber, because they have left behind them, they've reclaimed their own divinity, the realization of it, their own oneness with God. They're dwelling in that bliss. And so for them, all of humanity is like their child. I remember Swami Kriyananda, who's the founder of Ananda and who's a direct disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda, whose teachings we follow here. At the very end of his life, when he was getting close to what Yogananda predicted for him, which was that he would find God at the end of his lifetime, he was in such bliss, and he said, I just feel such love for everyone. Everyone I see is my own. It was so tender to be around him because he just exuded that love and bliss. And yet he didn't even call himself a guru. So how much more radiant and evolved as someone who could be a true guru. They're like, there's a story of of three men who went to a wall. There was this wall in their dusty village, and everyone always wondered what was over there. So one day, these three men went to that wall, and the first one said, could you help me up? So two of them helped him up, and he looked over the wall, and he said, oh my gosh, and he just jumped over. And the other two said, well, gosh, what's there? So the second two agreed that one of them would help the other one up, and he got to the top of the wall also and said, oh, and he leapt over, never to be heard from again. And the third one was there and thought, well, what is that? This is the point in the story that I've always wondered, how the heck did he get up to the top of the wall if there wasn't anybody else around? So there must have been something there. So he got up to the top of the wall and he saw a beautiful garden, a lovely paradise, and his heart yearned to just be there for all time. But he said, now that I found it, he looked back at the dusty village and all the people in misery there, and he thought, I can't just leave them there. I need to tell them. I need to help them get over that wall too. That's what a guru is. You know, there's this sense that if we engage with someone who's wiser than ourselves, that we might be negating our own will. But in the case of a guru, as with Sri Yukteswar, Yogananda's guru, one time Yogananda disappointed him greatly. He took off without any notice and was gone for quite a while. And one of the chapters in his books opens with him coming back, and his teacher opens the door, and he says, gosh, I thought you might, and greets him lovingly, come, let's have some food, as though only a few hours had passed since they last saw each other. And Yogananda said, sir, aren't you angry with me? Even a father would be angry if the son left his business and didn't tell him. And Sri Yukteswar said to him, I have no desires where others are concerned, so their wishes can't be in opposition to mine. I would not use you for my own ends. I'm happy only in your own true happiness. That's the state of a sage. There's nothing they need to gain from us, from having people follow them or obey them. They have, as we say in the Festival of Light, from a life of infinite joy and freedom in God, willingly to embrace limitation, pain, and death to come back here and help. They don't need us, you might say. They don't need the adulation of human beings. How could that possibly compare to divine bliss, to being at one with the cosmos? So we can put that aside. But what purpose does a guru have in our lives? As the reading suggests, we need help. Of course, we're all snappy human beings who have come up with our evolution so far. We've gained strong egos and maybe strong self-esteem, and we know our rights from our wrongs, and we know how to get what's ours, and we've got good ideas, all these many, many things. We've got a lot of skills, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact is that we don't know those divine realms, and we don't know what lies in store. And in fact, the very ego that's gotten us this far is the thing that's trying to hang on to us staying just as we are. It's got a vested interest. And the mind, which we prize so greatly, is limited to the level of reality that it can see, that it gains information from through the senses. And the guru is someone that can take us out of the forest of the mind, that can take us like the wise mountain climber beyond the crevasses. Nirvati and I were, she's down here, we're just up at Mount Rainier a couple weeks ago, and up there at Paradise, the high meadow, was a notice asking people who were in the meadows to look for signs of any clothing or gear of some people who had gone up by themselves in the wintertime, who'd gone up into the hills thinking they were just going to come back in a couple hours, probably. Never heard from again. Nobody would actually try to climb that mountain, without a guide. There are things that we just don't know that lie in store for us, and so many, many ways that the ego can fool us because, again, it has this vested interest. So as the reading says, the mountain guide would never presume to do our climbing for us. This is a partnership, you might say. It's a friendship in God. And the guru acts on behalf of God. There was a time when Yogananda was at a dinner party, and somebody said to him, Dr. Lewis, who was sitting there, or somewhere else, was your first disciple in this country, wasn't he? And the master said, sort of very shortly, that's what they say. And the woman was kind of taken aback. They'd just been having this lovely conversation, warm and everything. And so she looked at him like, what happened there? And he said, I never think of them as my disciples. God is the guru. I am just the channel. One of his other disciples, a very advanced woman, talked of him as being the flawless mirror. That's what a guru is. It's that mirror that holds up divinity to us so that we can see the difference in how we're behaving to what that mirror should be looking like, through their example, through their words, through their inner guidance. So the guru has a gift to give us. Sri Yukteswar, who is Yoganandas Guru, said of his own guru, in the beginning of the spiritual path, my will, we all think we need to have our own will and follow our own will. My will was guided by whims and fancies, by the ideas of the moment, you might say, by cultural conditioning, by habits. But when I tuned my will to the wisdom-guided will of my teacher, I progressed spiritually. And that's the key here, the tuning the will to the wisdom-guided will, because the teacher has a gift to give us. And it's not so much their words, it's not precepts, but it's like a living link. The guru is like a big electrical transformer. We can't plug our toasters into the electrical substation in the neighborhood. We need to plug it into an outlet, and that goes to larger and larger capacities until finally they all go to the substation. And that's what the guru is like. The Guru takes that divine energy, that powerful energy that we're not quite ready yet to fully experience. If we were, we would be in bliss. Quite frankly, we wouldn't be on this planet. We'd be adorning another. There was once a time when one of Yogananda's disciples said to him, "Give me samadhi, give me samadhi." And Yogananda finally leveled with him and said, "If I did, could you take it?" And looked at him with power, all the power. And he finally said, "No, sir, I couldn't." It's something we have to clear our energetic channels to be ready for. It's something that we have to truly want. How many of us truly want to leave everything behind? How many of us want to truly experience the vastness of the cosmos rather than our little life completely at this point? The Guru helps us get ready. And each one of us will have different challenges like spokes on a wheel. So for instance, one of Yogananda's foremost disciples was a wealthy businessman who came to him. He had achieved everything he wanted to materially, but he couldn't sit still. He was so restless, so nervous. Yogananda, he was also a highly developed soul, so Yogananda was able to bring him within a short time to the point where he was ready for samadhi. Claim that samadhi. He had another, so for different disciples, different things. For one disciple who was attached to him and started thinking of him as sort of her own, her father, somebody who should be paying attention to her in a certain way, he held back. He ignored her. He spent time just not being in that relationship to her till she went inside and realized that he had much more to offer her and helped her to get beyond this sense of just wanting something small, helped her to yearn for the wider gift that he had to give her. For disciples, there was one disciple he had that was too invested in outward form, in the way he looked. So there's a story of him, one day some women said to him, "Oh, you look so good in a turban." So Yogananda heard that or knew of that, and he put him in a turban, but he wrapped it all wrong, so it kept falling off of him, and he had to keep hiking it up. And after a while, he realized, there was this little thought of pride in his voice. Yes, I'm a good teacher. I probably would look good in a turban. But, it helped him to see what was really going on. For one of his disciples who was a proper Bostonian, maybe a little uptight when he first met him, he had him play the drums to loosen the energy in the chakras, And for each one of us, a true teacher has that guidance that will take us to all the way from where we are now and who we think we are to reclaim that birthright. So, how does that happen? Is this like a mindless process? Somebody once asked Yogananda about that mindless obedience, and he said, "What teacher worth his salt would want mindless disciples?" It takes a great deal of will to find God, a great deal of strength. One time, one of Yogananda's disciples said to him, "I'm sorry I'm so stubborn." He said, "Hey, that's okay. I attract stubborn people." You need that stick-to-itiveness to make it to the goal, because there are obstacles along the way on that journey up. And so this is a process of dynamic engagement. One of his disciples called it hand-to-hand combat, because the journey of life is, in a sense, a battle. It's not a battle against others, but it's a battle against anything inside of us that keeps us small. And the Guru is right there at our side. And when we tune in, see, this is the thing. It's that sensitive inner tuning in where we gain strength. That tuning in, that trying to feel what's being asked in any situation. If you think of it, if you don't have a guru, life can be your guru until that moment. Maybe I'll just digress there. So one of the questions was, do you need a guru? Well, not until you're ready for one. Not until it's the divine law that for each of us there is. So the scriptures in India at least aver that for each one of us there is one soul who will be that gateway. For Jesus, it happened to be the soul who was John the Baptist in that lifetime, and that's why he went to him for baptism. He had even surpassed his guru in attainment, but still that bond was there, and that's why he said, to fulfill all righteousness, I need to come to you and have your blessing before I embark on my mission. But if you're not at that point, God sends books and lesser teachers. And I used to, when I worked at East West, see so many people in that stage of development. And it was beautiful. It's one of the things that we do as a group is provide a place where there's this smorgasbord of things that people can draw from and be inspired from. But there comes a point where the soul longs to really make progress, where inwardly, I remember for myself when that happened, this prayer formed in me. If you're out there, God, I want to know you. Help me to know how. And at first I got people at work who showed me little parts and pieces. And then somebody suggested a meditation class, or I heard about a meditation class and got there. And then I became involved with a group, and I loved it, but it wasn't still quite mine. I could feel there was something, but I stuck with it, and that's one of the important things. Whatever inspires you, to stick with it, go deep in it, develop your magnetism, because that's what draws the teacher to you. There's the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So you don't need to go out looking for the teacher. They come when the time's right. But when that time is right, the invitation is there. We need to take that invitation. Not just one day, not just when if it's like here, you have a discipleship initiation and you say the words, but every day. One of Yogananda's disciples said, when you take that vow, you're saying yes to every moment that follows. And every moment can be used as a doorway to tune into that guidance, to ask inwardly during the day, what am I supposed to be learning from this? To draw inwardly. Yogananda used to talk about doing walkie-talkie with his disciples. In other words, as you're walking through your day, to inwardly have a dialogue with the friend of friends who's there to help you, whoever that may be for you, to ask, is this the way I should behave? Is this what's supposed to be happening here? What can I learn from this? What part of your gift of consciousness can I draw down in this moment and make real for myself so that I can grow? That's the part of the disciple, to put out that effort all the time in openness, in service, as it says in here, in devotion. And what are those? Service. Service is a way where we come up against, in the cold light of day, our own limitations, where we get to make those teachings real. If we never put out the opportunity to serve, and that doesn't mean getting up here and do a talk or teaching a class. It means trying to bring that divine consciousness into anything we do so that we're consciously drawing on something, on that divine consciousness, on the power of the Guru in our lives. And as we do that, we begin to feel that presence. We begin to feel times when we're out of tune with it. And so we can right ourselves. And how do we do that? Again, by calling inwardly, by that willingness to, in humility, ask, help me to turn towards the light in this situation so that my experience is one, like the great sages, of God's presence within. I wanted to just say a few things before I end. I've talked quite a long time for me, but it's a lovely subject. Does the Guru need to be in the body? I've not often, but sometimes heard people say, gosh, for our particular line, I wish Yogananda were here. And my thought is that I don't know if I could take it if we were right here. I think maybe I chose to come in to be part of those who came after, you might say, because it was pretty intense being around that incredible energy all the time. Kriyananda says that being at Mount Washington with him, it was like a revolving door. People came and went because not that many could stand being that close to that source of energy, which provided that mirror that was so clear, and there was so much energy to be drawn on that if you couldn't raise yourself up to it, it was hard to just stay right there. So maybe they interacted with him from afar a little bit more. But another thing is true too, and that is that each disciple is a living link. And those who tune in most deeply, who try to draw on and channel the Guru's teachings most deeply, form a clear and living link. And so another thing that's really important is the concept of satsang. What is satsang? Fellowship with truth. It's fellowship with those who are drawing on that same inspiration. And I know so many times in the work that I've done with various people at Ananda, just walking into a room, I could feel a shift of my energy. Or something would happen where I'd be in a mood or something, and my interaction with the other person who was on the path, maybe even somebody who was new, maybe even somebody who I thought, well, they haven't really got their stuff together. But there's something in that exchange, especially when you approach it consciously, that helps you to right yourself, that helps you to feel, ooh, I wasn't on target there. My energy was off. Either that person's holding a space, or by your conscious drawing of the presence of God through the teacher, you begin to feel the dissonance, and then you start to realign yourself. One time somebody said to a great teacher in India, I think it was Muktananda, he said, well, I thought that maybe Yogananda was my guru, but he's dead. And Muktananda looked at him and said, you're dead. Yogananda's alive. You know, the teacher works through channels. They are still here. They're here in this room. We can't see them necessarily unless you're especially gifted that way. But I can guarantee you, just as Jesus said, whenever two or more are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. And as Yogananda said, when I am gone, listen to my whispers for eternity. I'll guide you silently when I am only a dream, through your conscience, through your smile, through your own emotions. I'll weep with you when you're wrong and ever send you loving guidance. So, just a few other thoughts here. Other ways to just tune into that loving presence. Yogananda talked about the silent signature of his Guru's thoughts and his own. So asking inwardly, how do you think about this? I remember one time Swami Kriyananda said in prayer, I want to have only your thoughts. So, it's maybe a cliche, but what would the Buddha do? What would they do in this situation? How would they act? And ask inside. And ask them, most importantly, reveal God to me. Introduce me to God, because that's where we're really going. All the way. We want to go all the way. I think since I've talked quite a while here, I'll just end with this poem. This is Yogananda speaking as the Guru. I come to tell you all of him and the way to encase him in your bosom, and of the discipline which brings his grace. To those of you who have asked me to guide you to my beloved's presence, I will warn you through my silently talking mind, or speak to you through a gentle, significant glance, or whisper to you through my love, or loudly dissuade you when you stray away from him. But when I shall become only a memory or a mental image, or silently speaking voice, when no earthly call will ever reveal my whereabouts in unplumbed space, when no shallow entreaty or stern stentorian command will bring an answer from me, I will smile in your mind when you are right, and when you are wrong, I will weep through my eyes, dimly peering at you in the dark. and weep through your eyes perchance, and I will whisper to you through your conscience, and I will reason with you through your reason, and I will love through your love. When you are able no longer to talk to me, read my whispers from eternity. Eternally through that I will talk to you. Unknown I will walk beside you and guard you with invisible arms. And as soon as you know my beloved and hear his voice in silence, you will know me again more tangibly than you knew me on this earth plane. And yet when I am only a dream to you, I will come to remind you that you too are not but a dream of my heavenly beloved. And when you know you are a dream, as I know now, we all will be ever awake in him. Let's meditate now for just a moment.